Here's a follow-up to the 3 shipping videos I made the other month. With Secrets Could Kill, the most commented upon ship was Hal with Hulk. Their names are dangerously similar, so how could we make a celebrity couple name for them? Hulk? Hole? It's so much easier with Daryl and Connie, which is obviously Donnie, and that could be the name of their first child. So multiple people wanted to see the high schoolers from Secrets Can Kill date the high schoolers from Mornings at Waverly Academy, and it makes sense. They're all the same age. So multiple people said that Hulk should date Layla Yadav. They're both obsessed with sports. I don't know if Leela would go so far as to take steroids to get her scholarship, but it's clear that she's a tough competitor just like Hulk. And also like Hulk, she just sort of hangs around doing nothing all day instead of doing the sports that she's allegedly obsessed with. That's enough to convince me they could be a good couple. They would probably make a great couple, a competitive couple, I'd bet. They'd probably try to outdo each other in everything, leading to a crazy Valentine's Day where they go way overboard. Another Waverly Academy suggestion was Izzy Romero with Daryl Gray. She's the queen bee of her school, and he's the king of his school. That could work. Or at least I imagine that she would try to date him because of his social standing. He would try to date her because she's hot. I don't think their personalities match very well, but I think the difficulty is more on Daryl's side. That is, he would have to adjust to her personality. I don't think she'd have a problem with his. The final Waverly suggestion was Hal dating Rachel. I have no idea what they have in common besides being studious and desperate for a scholarship. So desperate, they're willing to break the rules! But all the girls at Waverly Academy are desperate for the scholarship, so if that's the only condition for being Hal's girlfriend, Hal could date every one of the girls. Maybe at the same time. Like, both Rachel and her sister fall in love with Hal. He doesn't know he's dating 2 girls at the same time, so love drama happens. It's a typical storyline that's happened probably dozens of times in the Sweet Valley Twins series. Of course, we'd have to think of a reason why the guys in Florida are suddenly at an all-girls school in New York. Let's say the 2 schools are playing against each other in a sports competition, and that's how Hulk meets Leela. They smash up against each other on the field, and their hearts collide forever. Izzy shows up to chew out Leela for her poor performance, while Daryl shows up to cheer Hulk's good performance, so the 2 of them meet, and before you know it, it's a double date. Meanwhile, Hal is walking alone, trying to think of something to do. The game's over, and it doesn't seem like anyone wants to hang out with him. He goes to the Waverly Library to hide, where he finds Rachel. She's also hiding, kind of. Rachel's in the library while her twin is in their room. Everybody else is at the big game, so they figure they can get away with being, out in the open like this. So Hal and Rachel meet each other, and things continue from there. Someone suggested that Hulk should date Nancy's Aunt Eloise, or at least he would be interested in her. She's an older woman who knows a lot about the world, and she's way out of his league. I completely disagree. I do not follow that line of logic at all. I don't think Hulk is into older women. I don't think he particularly cares about dating worldly people. But someone who's out of his league, he would probably see that as a challenge. And again, that makes me want to bring things back to Hulk and Leela. She'd say she's too good for him, which would drive him crazy. Someone mentioned that Connie is similar to George. That's true. They're both into sports and have a tomboy haircut. They're also pretty determined people. The comment I thought was most interesting was the suggestion that none of the relationships in this game would survive past high school. I guess that's true. I graduated from high school 13 years ago. Oh, I'm super old. So I'm not in contact with anybody I knew in high school. Is it realistic to assume that these high schoolers would keep in touch? Hal probably won't contact anybody on his own, and he'd be forgotten. Hulk is only notable for his sports achievements. He'd either fade away when his sports dreams don't come true, or he'd end up playing for the Miami Dolphins like he wants to, and he'd become so famous that he'd think dealing with his old high school friends is beneath him. So he's gonna move on in different circles. I think Connie and Daryl have a chance of staying in touch past high school, if they're still dating when they graduate. She saved his life. That's a hard thing to let go. Or at least it would be hard for him. What if she decides she doesn't like Daryl and starts to ignore him? I think that would be it. He'd want to be around her no matter what, but if she clearly indicated she wants to be left alone, he'd stop calling, but he wouldn't stop caring. The other big comment was about Hal dating Yumi. She helps him recover from his failure in America by letting him work on the business. He feels like he's redeeming himself by being useful and successful. Maybe the other characters get involved, maybe not, but over the course of Hal getting his self-esteem back, they realize they care for each other. That'd probably make for good fanfiction. Sadly, it seems like there's been a drought of Nancy Drew fanfiction recently, probably due to the drought of games. I didn't get as much feedback on games 2 and 3. That's kind of typical, actually. Everyone watches the first video in a series, and the view count drops off dramatically after that. My top 10 most watched videos, they are all the first video of a walkthrough, except Waverly Academy number 4. Video number 4 of that, it's the DNA puzzle. It must have confused everybody so much it got a boost in popularity. Anyway, I'm just saying, not as many people talked about games 2 and 3, so let me just go through them quickly instead of splitting it up into a separate video for game 2 and game 3. Somebody suggested Millie and Professor Hotchkiss all the way. They would be so cute, and their eccentricities would play off each other perfectly. They both like hiding in a room and forcing Nancy to solve their riddles. They'd have tons of fun making up riddles for each other. That's good. I like that. Another suggestion was Millie and Pa. I guess that could work, although he's clearly not over the death of his wife, but Millie is about the same age as Pa, and they're vaguely eccentric. Moreover, they seem comfortable with their lives, even though things haven't worked out the best for them. They share a good attitude like that. Someone said Maddie with Carson Drew? Maddie dating Nancy's father? They're both equally concerned about Nancy's safety, and they're both responsible people. I could see Aunt Eloise needling Carson into dating again. She thinks he needs a new girlfriend since Kate died a long time ago. He protests, no, I don't need to date anybody, I'm too busy with my career and whatnot. So I could see Maddie giving off the same sort of vibe, you know, the feeling that she'll be single forever unless somebody forces her to date again. So Aunt Eloise decides her two lonely friends who refuse to date anybody should totally get together. She introduces them and forces them to go out, sparks fly, and things go on from there. Someone said Rick should date a character from Lights, Camera, Curses. So basically Molly McKenna or Eda Brooks. I don't remember that game at all at this point. Molly is a somewhat bossy person who's in charge, sort of like Lillian, but she's more on edge because the stakes are higher. I don't remember this game. I really don't. But I guess it could work? Eda's kind of a dingbat, and I don't think that would work. I don't think Rick would fall for her just because she's pretty. He's shallow, but I don't think he's that shallow. Or maybe he is. Someone commented that Rick was indeed using Lillian to further his career. Maddie says something to this effect. And if Maddie thinks it's true, then gosh, it probably is true. Maddie's not the kind of person who thinks badly of anyone unless they deserve it. Hey, she knows Rick is bad news in several ways, and she still thinks well of him. Maddie's a nice person like that, which just makes me want to ship Maddie Carson all the more. Moving on to Game 3, the one that I got the fewest amount of comments on. So Game 3, Charlie with Nancy's friend George. Yeah, sure, why not? I can think of nothing to recommend them as a couple, but I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't work. They should at least try it out if they're willing. Abbi and Richard Topham. They're both frauds who deal with the supernatural, and they're both second-place culprits. I always thought Topham should have been the main culprit of the game. Like, he purposely created a fake will, but the game goes with Jane as the main culprit. There's a showdown with her, and then Topham is just relegated to like a 2-sentence recap in the ending. Abbi also gets overlooked in the ending. Even though she set up secret spy cameras and did creepy stuff, that stuff should have at least been addressed at some point, but no, it just kind of gets pushed aside. So yeah, Abbi and Topham, definitely the forgotten culprits. The last suggestion was Rose and Abbi. They moved to San Francisco together, which is a stereotypical city for gay people. There doesn't seem to be any attraction between them. Rose seems more annoyed by Abbi than anything else because she's just doing this weird, seance stuff as opposed to actually helping fix the house. But hey, if you want to ship them, I'm not going to stop you. I think the age and race barrier is probably going to be harder for them to overcome than being gay in San Francisco would be. Anyway, that's the follow-up for the first 3 dating videos. I think there's enough interest in this series, so it's going to be worthwhile for me to continue. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more romance.